These days people talk of what is it called? Beauticians, what is that course? Cosmetology, eh? Is it cosmetics or something? Those small courses you can take to the knowledge precinct. In that way, the people in the informal settlements are benefiting if they can afford the service that you're giving. What you're seeing there is a detailed plan for the knowledge precinct. For purposes of you knowing more about this plan, I will invite you to KCCA and we shall share these documents with you. Now, other than detailed plan and master plan, we have what we call piecemeal planning. Piecemeal planning through land subdivisions or land readjustment policy or approaches. You find people in informal settlements, they own land and they have titles, and they want to subdivide that land. That is the chance that we now have to rectify the challenges, the bad shapes, the poor shapes, the issues of accessibility within the slums. Because when you submit your title to us, when you submit your application to us to do a subdivision, and your plot has no access, we will tell you put an access. Are you seeing now how we are solving the problem of access in a slum? We'll tell you put an access on this plot. Maybe the plot is a triangle, we'll tell you no, we want at least some kind of square. So you go and buy from this neighbor, buy from the other one, and bring something so that you have at least some shape. If you were buying maybe 4 decimals or 5 decimals, we will tell you no. At least make them 10. At least make them 8. Or combine with your neighbor so that you own this plot 2 people. But you have a good shape and you have an access. Now that we do through piecemeal planning. What I have displayed here, this is a national housing estate in Namungona. How many of us know where Namungona is on Hoima Road? Now, National Housing Estate. We worked with National Housing to try and see how to do what? How to improve that space. And you can see from what we had started with that the space had started changing, but unfortunately, I think they got issues with some of the landowners and they could not proceed. But it was a good approach. And we encourage, recently we had a land conference where we invited different experts and we're encouraging them, please buy land in these spaces. Let's plan that land. Let's improve the conditions of our people staying in those places. Now, when we go to the Directorate of Public Health, what are we doing to address the challenges in the slum? You see, in the past, fecal matter in slums was the order of the day. People had no toilets. All the toilets were full. Some of them were discharging into public drains. Some of them were discharging into open spaces. Now, through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, we secured funds as KCCA to start the citywide inclusive sanitation project. Many people know it as Weyonje project. Now, this citywide inclusive sanitation project has a number of components, but there is one component that is directly related to the issues of slums, and that is the Weyonje project. Now, in that Weyonje, Weyonje campaign, what are we doing? We are what you see I've called BCC's behavior change campaign. In that component, we are doing a behavior change campaign to help our people understand that no, you cannot live without a toilet. Surely you can't do that. When you build a house, you must have a toilet. We are also doing incentivized emptying services, and this one started around COVID. During COVID, our people didn't have capacity to empty their toilets. So what KCCA is doing, the community does 10% and KCCA does 90%, then we come and empty your toilets within. But this is for only the informal settlements. What you're seeing on the right, on the left, what you're seeing on the right, the picture you're seeing on the right is what they call, I'm forgetting the name of this system. It's God help. I'll remember along the way. But here, if you've seen how a borehole works, we go into these toilets which are full using this system, and they pump. They pump the fecal matter into a certain system. And then tukutukus carry that fecal matter where it is supposed to be. Have you seen that? You didn't know. But I'm now telling you, through this project, we are doing it in the slums. They go into a toilet, like what you see this gentleman is doing, and then they pump the material. The material gets into a certain basket, which is now put on a tukutuku, and it is driven on the street. You will never know, because we cover it, we seal it properly. That's why you don't know. But it is part of our smart approach in dealing with the issues of slums. It's called the GALPA. What you're seeing there is called the GALPA. But we still have issues with NEMA, because depending on who is pumping, the things can really spill all over. So we are trying to adopt a second one. What you're seeing in the second picture, it's covered by words, but it is another system that is more refined than the GALPA, which should be able to solve the issue that NEMA talked about. Lastly, through our Directorate of Engineering, we are trying to address the issue of drainage, flooding within these informal settlements. You recall in the past we had a lot of flooding around areas of Bwaise, okay? How many of us know that Lubiji Channel? That Lubiji Channel, about last year, water no longer floods around that section, okay? Even if it started raining and you will see. The people in the informal settlements have now benefited a lot, because that time, water from the channel, because the channel was narrow, water would flood into their homes. And they would also first sit and wait for water to come down, then they go back home. For those who were found in their houses, they had to first wait for the water. Now, it has been dealt with through the widening of the channels across the board. This is not all that we are doing. It is just too much. I did not go into gender and to all the other things, because we would never finish the lecture. But in a nutshell, we are using smart approaches to deal with the issues of that are created by informal settlements. With those many words, I want to say thank you so much for listening, and I pray that we can have a successful deliberation as we proceed with the lecture. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Macha, for that very enlightening presentation. I hope you followed. I hope your mind was turning, with questions. We'll take questions, I think, at the end, if that's okay. So we'll also first hear from Mr. Nsubuga, and then we shall take questions. But I encourage you to take as many notes as you can. There were quite a number of patterns that were appearing in his presentation, if you recall, if you are making the connections. So we shall also see what you guys have come up with at the end. I'll hand over now to Mr. Nsubuga for his presentation. Let me read that.
In the meantime, as we are getting our laptop ready, my name is Nsubuga Douglas. I'm a physical planner working with KCCA. My age is 40 years old. I got my bachelor's degree in 2006. How many years have passed? There are quite many. And most of you weren't born at that time. I have a postgraduate diploma in monitoring and evaluation and a master's degree in public infrastructure management. So hopefully I've been seated there with Dr. Shema. I've got the guts now to also pursue a PhD so that I can also be called doctor. So my dear students, don't stop at only getting the bachelor's degree. The journey is still long. My impression at the university, since I entered the gate, I'm seeing students who are happy. I'm seeing students who love books. I'm seeing students who are energetic. I'm seeing students who are vibrant, that we are going to see it in our urban governance lecture. So I want to thank management of this university for a good job well done. I've also heard about the language pattern. Pattern language. I'm so impressed about it because it's a hands-on. So the university is trying its level best to churn out, I can say, full-baked students so that you can also participate in coming up with solutions that can help us to overcome a number of challenges that we are facing in this country. So here we start. Review of Kampala's urban governance and major stakeholders involved. When you hear about the word governance, what runs into your mind? I'll tell you that governance is about association, it's about lifestyle, it's about values. I'll give you a brief history of our Kampala. As we all know that Kampala is the capital city of Uganda. Currently we have quite a number of other cities that have come on board, but Kampala has been the first since independence in 1962. In 1893, when the Bazungu were here, they came and agreed to make Kampala the capital city. But between 1893 and 1962, the capital city, administrative capital city, was shifted to Entebbe, and Kampala became the commercial city. But before independence, on 8th October 1962, those powers were brought back, and Kampala is the current capital city of Uganda since then. We have a few notes about the geography, where Kampala is lying, and its location. The area is 169 square kilometers. You'll see as we go along, we have 5 divisions, and the area is distributed along. The topography there is also well listed. I talked about governance because that is what we are covering. And I want to move along with you because I can see you vibrant students who are going to be full-baked. If you look at governance, here you will see that it's the proper functioning of institutions, the acceptance by the public, or in one word, we can call it legitimacy. Legitimacy. The reason we are here, we are trying to read hard at the end of the day, be awarded a bachelor's degree in what? Architecture, right? So the moment you get that, you'll have qualified, and you'll be a legitimate person who, if you go along to practice and register, you become a registered architect. So in whatever we do, governance looks at legitimacy. We are working for an institution called KCCA. Is KCCA legitimized? We shall see along. Have you heard about government parastatals agencies that are now being merged? Do you know the reason they have taken long to be merged? It's dealing with issues of legitimacy, issues of laws. Anything to be legitimized, it must be within the confines of the law. But now for purposes of our profession, for us we look at standardization. Whatever we design, it must be within the confines of standards. Another definition here, process of making and enforcing decisions within an organization or society. It encompasses decision making, rule setting, and enforcement. Who are those people who are supposed to take those decisions? Why is someone called an executive director in an institution? Why is someone called a dean at a university? Because we have quite a number of faculties, but we also have the different segmentation and roles of the different personnel here. As I've been moving in here, I've also seen portraits of students who are campaigning to take up those big posts. That is governance. You're trying to do something so that you're a leader and you can ably serve. Governance, the way you hear it, it has got its core principles. What are those driving factors? The way you hear a car or you see a car. What makes a car? You say that a car must have tires. If you are talking about a house, let us use an example that we are well familiar with. We are architects. We are going to design buildings. And you will submit plans to us as planners to review them. But we have those components, those principles that you must move along with. For a plan to be approved, it must have a location plan. It must have a site plan. I'm hoping that what I'm talking about you're well acquainted with, or you haven't studied it as yet. But you will study it. So as governance, it has its pillars or its principles. And if you're talking about governance, you have to mention the things, the legitimacy. What makes KCCA to be KCCA? Do I just wake up and say, now I'm employed by KCCA, or now I want to create my own institution called KCCA? So back in your mind, whatever we do, the word legitimacy has to be there. And it's basically the reason why government is coming up with a number of laws. Whatever we do is being governed by laws. We are the university here, but our university is registered by the National Council of Higher Education. Short of that, it ceases to be a university. I know many of you are reading hard, so that when you finish university, you get money, you buy a car. But driving that car, you need to be legitimate. The only way you can be legitimate is by having a driving license. I'm a married man, and I've been married for quite a number of years. But sometimes, you know Uganda word called Kawondo Kakubya Dirisa? You've heard about it? Being someone when you haven't yet legitimized. So legitimizing means you go to the parents. After the parents, they give you a certificate, they give you a leeway. Then you go to the church. You're trying to legitimize. So whatever we do on this planet Earth, there are laws and regulations governing all the activities. And women, when you go to church, they even give you a metal, which you're supposed to put on your finger, showing that you're now a legitimized married man. Not so? But now the Hajis who marry 4 wives, I don't know what they give them, but they also legitimize their. There's another English word here called accountability. Governance talks too much about accountability. Have you ever heard people complaining about what KCCA is doing? That we are not doing enough. Potholes in the roads. Drainage, when it rains, it floods. They are seeking for accountability. Do you see people during campaign time coming back to say, we did A, B, C, and D? That is accountability. Governance, as I told you, is about lifestyle, it's about association, it's about values. It's about executing the different roles and responsibilities. So governance is the vehicle to transport us there. So we've looked at number one, pillar, legitimacy. That whatever you want to do, it must be legitimized. So you're still young students here, you're going to graduate. By the end of the day, whatever you do, it must be within the confines of the law. Are we together? Then accountability. You must be accountable. Your parents are running up and down. They are saving their hard-earned money to ensure that they pay your fees. And the only way you can pay them back is being accountable. When you graduate and you go back to them, flagging your transcript. And that transcript you must pass well. So that there is value for money. Don't you think that your parents will be happy? You'll be accountable. If you pass well, you'll be accountable to your lecturers, to your dean, for the time that you've been here. You're accounting for the time. So are we together on those two principles? Governance, that's how it moves. Another pillar or principle is leadership. Leadership. Even in our homes, that's where governance starts. Do you know why I'm called a husband? Or a father? Because I'm the head of the household. Not so? Fathers are the head of the household. All that thing changed. Is it still the same? Who is the head of the house? It's the man. It's the father. It's the dad. And mothers are also what now? Because they also do a lot of good things at home. So leadership, the way we apportion responsibility. If you come to KCCA, you'll see that we have an executive director. Can someone tell me the name of our current executive director? You can put up your hand. Because I can see you vibrant students. And vibrant means that your heads are sharp and you are going to move together. Who is the executive director of KCCA? Because we are talking about leadership now. Come on, I can see the smiles on the face. International University of East Africa. Anyone who can put up a hand and tell me the executive director of Kampala Capital City? She's a lady. Yes, my dear. Oh, please clap for him. Clap for him. He has done well. Madame Dorothy Saka is the current executive director of KCCA, and the first executive director of KCCA was Madame or Mrs. Jennifer Mosisi Semakura. You heard about her? You heard about her? Yeah. When you grow up, I also want you to study hard and take up the leadership positions. So governance talks about all that. There's an English word here I'm also reading. It's called integrity. Integrity. Have you ever heard about it? You've heard about integrity. If they say that gentleman is a man of integrity, what does that statement mean? You're a man of integrity. Integrity means that something that you can do during daytime is the same thing that you even do in darkness. You're a right man. You're trying to move within the righteousness. You don't want to, make corners here and there. Governance is about that. Promising people that the money that you have given us, if a road is 10 billion shillings, that money is going to be spent there. And at the end of the day, we shall get value for money. Are we together? Stewardship. Stewardship is about taking the lead. Who are those people who are willing to take the lead? I've seen my brother there who put up his hand and gave me the right answer of Mrs. Dorothy Saka. He has steered us forward. In governance, we must have those people at the forefront. People we can talk to, people we can interact with. Is it okay? Do you have leaders here at the university? If you have a class, do you have class coordinators? Because I know you don't have a class monitor. I think it's class coordinator, right? We have a class coordinator? Who is the class coordinator? Hey, oh, that's nice. Thank you for that stewardship and coming out forward to offer that service. And lastly, governance principle is about transparency. Owerufu. Transparency. Being able to do what you're supposed to do. Being able to do what you're supposed to do. We are supposed to be here at 2 p.m. I think we've come at 2 p.m. We've been here. So we are transparent in one or another. They told you about this lecture, and you're also here. I can give you credit to that. In government, we collect taxes. Whatever you do, I'm seeing my good doctor here, Dr. Shema, is sipping some water. That bottle was bought and VAT was paid and government collected taxes. So we have to be transparent in the way we spend our money. Are we together? So you will be able now to recall the principles of governance. I don't want you to forget legitimacy. Whatever we do, it must be within the confines of the law. Accountability, leadership, integrity, stewardship, and transparency. Now we are talking about KCCA. Because we want to give you that practical bit. We don't want you to leave you the same. By the time I leave here, I want you to be well acquainted with what happens in KCCA. I've told you I'm a physical planner in KCCA, and I've been there for some time, 10 plus years. What happens in KCCA? we've talked about governance. One of the pillars, legitimacy. Is KCCA an institution legitimized? How did it come about? Those are the things that we are going to learn right now. KCCA came into place after the enactment of the KCCA Act in 2010. In 2010, government decided to come up with a law. As you know, government is made up of three arms of what? Government has three arms. The first arm is what? The first arm is what? Legislature. Okay, that's good. The second arm is what? Executive. Perfect. And the third one? And the third one? Judiciary. Okay, that's perfect. So now what's the role of legislature? The legislature arm of government. It's there to pass laws. Not so? You hear about members of parliament, they call them honorable people. Honorable member of parliament. We even have a honorable member of parliament who is representing us here in our area. This is much in the east. Not so? Yeah. So KCCA, you remember our first principle. Our first principle is about legitimacy. So before KCCA coming into force, it had to be legitimized. I'm a Catholic man. When I was born, my dear parents took me to church and I was baptized. That was legitimizing me into the Catholic Church. Are we together? So we have the KCCA Act that we follow in whatever we do. Now, Article 5, subsection or clause 4 of the Constitution is the one that led to the enactment of the KCCA Act. Kampala located in Buganda shall be administered by the central government. It had a clause that says, since Kampala is located in Buganda, its administration shall be under the central government. So all along we had an institution called KCC, Kampala City Council. But now Kampala City Council, it ceased to be. And we got a new institution called KCCA. But we had to follow the law in 2010. Some of us, we were there. I know most of you at that time you were born, right? You were born in 2010. That's when KCCA came into force. The institution is administered by the central government. Now, what does central government mean? Central government here, we are talking about the executive. The executive, we are talking about the president, the vice president, and those honorable ministers that we hear about. Are you right? So, politically, KCCA is headed by a minister. And that minister is called Minister for Kampala and Metropolitan Affairs. Do we have a bright student here who can tell me the names of the the names of the Minister for Kampala and Metropolitan Affairs? Do you have anyone who knows her? She's a lady. And a Hajat. Hajat, do you know her? Okay. Okay. Our Minister for Kampala is called Honorable Minsa Kabanda. You've ever heard about that name? Because now we are being practical. We've talked about legitimizing. We are looking at the law that brought KCCA into force, and we are saying KCCA is under the central government, and if it's under the central government, now it has to be the minister. It's the president, but now the president is delegating the art of delegation, all his powers to the minister, now to oversee the operation of the city. We shall look at the function of the minister. Are we together? This slide is emphasizing legitimacy, that whatever we do, when you are getting your admission here, most of you, I think at that time you had started senior 6, right? And you had to be, it was a must that you had to first have passed well, right? So you presented your credentials at that time. The university scrolled through and said, this person is now legitimate to join International University of East Africa. What were the reasons for removing KCCA and now coming up, for removing KCC and coming up with KCCA? Because since independence here in Uganda, we had an institution called KCC, Kampala State Council. But this time around in 2010, people sat somewhere in parliament, those honorable members of parliament, and said, I think we should change. Since Kampala is in Buganda, it must be administered by the central government, we should come up with KCCA. What were those reasons? Let's look at the reasons for coming up with KCCA. Number one, improving service delivery. Are we in total agreement that KCCA has really done a lot? If you look at the work that we do, does it show cause that indeed KCCA should be there? Because you are one of the civil servants who are paid well. Do you know that KCCA officials or workers are paid well? And if you study hard and pass well, you can also join the prestigious and mighty institution of KCCA, and you also earn in millions. Like my elder brother there. He's a senior physical planner. He's a big man when you come to City Hall. He's a manager. And he's earning a lot of money because he studied books and he qualified. And he's also working tirelessly to ensure that he improves on service delivery. That's why when he was invited here, he had to come and share the knowledge with you. So what does KCCA do to show that it has improved service delivery? Do you see the roads that where we pass? You know Clock Tower? That flyover that you see. Do you know that KCCA went into partnership with Ministry of Works and Transport? Because now when you come, there's even a tunnel. Woo, you just drive under the what? And there's even another road where you go up a flyover. Shoo. If you drive fast, the car can even go in the air and disappears. Isn't KCCA doing well? Although we still have some challenges, but we are trying our level best. Are we together? Legitimization, that's where we are. Because we have to legitimize. Why do we change from KCC to KCCA? We are saying the reason we are changing, we want to improve service delivery. Probably at that time, in 2010, and all the years backwards, service delivery was not the best. So the people who were there at that time thought that probably if we change and we enact a law and we change the modus operandi of doing things, then service delivery is going to improve. Number two, improve transparency and accountability. You remember the pillars of governance? We are now looking at governance. Improving the pillars of accountability. At that time, government was giving a lot of money to KCC, but probably the workers at that time, they weren't accountable. They give you to go and work on a road, construct a road, but the road is not constructed. Or if it's constructed, it's not done in a good way. So if you look at that, you'll appreciate that now KCCA, the work they are doing. Who knows Lukuli Road? Because where we are here, Lukuli Road is not very far. You know Lukuli Road? Does it put a smile on your face when you're there? Because I know most of you are not driving, you're moving on foot. But at least we also have pedestrian walkways. Yeah? Now the safety element is also looked into. They don't want you to be knocked by a car. Sometimes even plant flowers and shrubs. As students, they want your mind to be relaxed all the time. So that when you're sitting for your exams, you can pass highly. Aren't you being transparent? Remember, we are there by law. And a law was enacted in 2010. Now we are serving, and we have to prove that all the money that we get, we are accountable. So that even the students of International University of East Africa can appreciate what KCCA is doing. Are we together? Okay. Now the last one is ensure good governance. Governance is basically the relationship between the technical people, between the politicians at City Hall, and the citizens. We have to be accountable to the people. Isn't that right? Because whatever we do, we collect taxes. All the people who have voted in those political positions are voted by the people. If you're 18 and above, how many of you here have ever casted a vote or have ever voted? Do you have someone who you vote? And I know in 2021? You must have voted for the other one, for the post of president. Not so? And things moved on well, right? I can see the smile on the face. So, basically this slide, we have looked at the reasons why KCCA came into force. I think we are together. The reasons are there, and also one pillar of legitimacy, we have seen how KCCA was legitimized. We talked about a minister. What does that minister do? Remember in Kampala you have two ministers. We have the cabinet minister. A cabinet minister yabera boss. Yabera omukuru. In most government ministries, the head of the ministry is a politician and is always a cabinet minister. Now, depending on the roles and responsibilities, the state ministers are always assigned accordingly. If you go to Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development, you'll find the cabinet minister, then there's a Minister of State for Lands, a Minister of State for Housing, a Minister of State for Urban Development. So in Kampala, we also have two ministers. There's a cabinet minister and a Minister of State. That Minister of State is called Honorable Chofa Togabye Kabuye. You ever heard about him? You ever heard about him? Okay, that's very good. I know in the next 10 years or 20 years, we shall also have ministers here, not so? Yeah, you'll make it. Why not? And we shall be saluting you, and they'll be driving in those big cars that finish all the road, and for us, we have nowhere to pass. So the minister has the following powers in relation to the authority. We want to look at the correlation. You want to look at the relationship between the minister and the authority. To vary or rescind any decision of the authority, which is in contravention of any law or government policy with the approval of cabinet. Governance is about laws. At different levels, laws are made. So the minister has a duty to look into these laws and guide accordingly. Where the minister considers the matter is of grave nature, to institute a commission of inquiry. A minister has this bird's eye view. He looks at the entire institution. Where things are not going right, she or he can institute a commission of inquiry. To receive and take appropriate action on reports submitted by the mayor, executive director, or a commission of inquiry. She receives all the work that has been done in the authority. And those reports are coming either from the executive director, from the mayor, from the Lord Mayor, or the division mayors. He or she appoints and removes members of the Metropolitan Authority. My brother, Senior Planner Macha, elaborately explained on the Greater Kampala Metropolitan Zone that we are not looking at Kampala only, but even the surrounding areas. Because most of us work in Kampala, but we stay in Wakiso. Do you have parents here who are staying in Wakiso? Or your homes which are in Wakiso? Or you stay very far from Kampala? I might be talking to people who are staying in Koboko, Yumbe. Where are you staying? Where your home is? Because I know here, since it's a university, you're either staying in here or you're renting just nearby. Home district is where? Our class coordinator. Chiwale. Oh, good to see you. Welcome to Kampala. Yeah, good to see you, good to see you. To oversee the performance of the authority, she sees all the performance and all the other activities. But the most important one is the minister has all the powers to veto the decisions that have been made. Once a decision is made and it's not good, and on the advice of the other corresponding arms of government, she can rescind the decisions. So now, where we are, we have seen governance. We have seen how KCCA came into place, and we have appreciated that there is a cabinet minister, or there are those ministers who are overseeing the operations of the institution. Are we together? I'm seeing my brother Yoni. You didn't take lunch? Still early, still early. You need to be a vibrant man. That's where we are heading. KCCA as an institution. I can see KCCA as a vision. If I mention that English word vision, what do you understand by the word vision? Do you have anyone who has a dream? That right now I'm at the university, I want to graduate. If you're a man, you can even say, I want to marry a very beautiful wife, buy a nice car, have nice children. My vision right now, I want to graduate with a doctorate degree. I also want to be called Dr. Nsubuga. And Dr. Shema is going to pray for me, and I'm going to work hard towards that. You said dream? Is that idealistic thing that you think about? Vision, where do you want to go? And it must follow a systematic process. And that process must be guided by goals and objectives, which you have to sequence down to the action steps that you're going to take to achieve your vision. A vision is long term. Do you agree? Yeah. So as KCCA, it also has a vision. And the vision is, KCCA, it wants our city to be a vibrant. Do you hear the word? Vibrant. I'm here presenting to you. Don't you think that I'm a vibrant man? Don't I have energy? Am I boring you? I have energy. So we also want to have a city that is vibrant. And remember, our profession, we are architects. We are the guys who are going to design those nice buildings. We are the guys going to design all the beautiful, landscape designs that we shall appreciate. And once we have them there, people will move in the city and say, oh, this city is beautiful. This city is vibrant. It has life. A vibrant person, you must have life. You've heard about, if they say that I'm vibrating, shaking, that is life. In my old age here, I'm seeing people who are dying. And the first thing they do to a dead body, if you haven't yet proved that the person has died, you shake, to see whether the person will cry or you will. But once you see that he's not crying, then you know that the person has died. So being vibrant is having energy. So whatever we do as KCCA, our vision is to be vibrant. The roads that we are working on, the drainage, the building plans that my senior planner here keeps approving. And remember, it's you people who are going to be working on them. That's why we are training you. That's why we are giving these skills. It's not just a matter of drawing, and you run away. If you look at this building, someone designed it a long time ago and went away, but we are here now enjoying the ambience. I think we have enough light and aeration inside here. If you're an architect, do you see any defects that we have in this room? Or if you were to design it right now, could you do a better job? Now if you could do a better job, now you're thinking in that line of being a vibrant architect, whom we shall run to and give you our money to help us design the different infrastructure projects that we shall be able to implement in the country. This is another good word called attractive. It's a vision. Have you ever been attracted to someone? I told you I'm a married man. But I got attracted to my wife. Why did I get attracted to my wife? Because she was sleeping a lot. There has to be aspects that attract you to a certain person, to a certain thing. The way I've told you, I've entered the gate, I've seen the runway, cars are parking. There's someone who has come and picked me from the reception. And we've come while we are chatting. We went to Dr. Shema's office. He greeted us well. We interacted. So in one way or another, professionally, we are getting attracted to each other. We are having a cordial time. Now, what are some of those aspects that you can look at from our line of profession with architects and say that if I'm to design this building, let it be attractive? Do you know that the shape matters of the building? It's not just a matter of designing box and you run away. Do you know that? Have you ever seen a building and say this building is attractive? You look at it and say, hey, someone took time and designed it well. You know Makerere University? You know Makerere University? Okay. Some of you know there. There's a building that was constructed from 1935 to 1941 and it got completed. However, something bad happened and the building got burnt in 2019. Are you hearing my story? In 2021, the cabinet of Uganda, the ministers, including the president, sat and they said, let it be the same design that was designed in 1934. Let it be the same design that it has to be rebuilt again like that. Why do you think they came up with that idea? It's simply because the design was still attractive. Almost 100 years are going to pass. So whatever we do, we have to think hard. Don't just do things for the sake. All the designs that you get, they must be really good. We have another component here of sustainability or sustainable, being a vibrant, attractive, and a sustainable city. Now, sustainable city means something that is everlasting. You've heard about something they call sustainable development. Simply meaning that with the current generation or with the people who are still here, let us enjoy the service that we have, but without compromising the ability of the future generation to also enjoy the same. Are we together? So you as an architect, can you do something if you to design a house where the owners will die, the children will also live in that house, and nothing will be changed? When you grow up, when you go to town, you'll see a building called City Hall where we sit. That building was designed in 1934, but it's still serving its purpose. Isn't it sustainable in one way or another? The designers died long time ago. Our judges could have gone there, they died, but the building is still there. And have you ever seen buildings which are designed and they don't even last for 5 years? You build your own house, you hired an architect, he designed for you a house, but within 5 years you look at the house and the house is boring. So are we looking at the longevity, the durability? So if we are talking about a vibrant, attractive, and sustainable city, those are the things that we are looking at. Are we together? Being able to do things that are going to live for ages. In the meanwhile, they encompass the vision of where I want to go. They are attractive. And at the end of the day, they are also there. Do you have anyone who has ever gone to Dubai, apart from our good doctor here? Dubai. All those European cities. Hey, you ever gone to Dubai? Hey, okay. You'll go there, don't worry. Now, when you go to Dubai, all those developed countries, one thing that you'll get attracted to is the nature of development. You'll be bamboozled. You'll be mesmerized. You'll be happy. Because people took time to design the things. The city is together. The mission is to deliver quality services. When you talk about quality, quality is something that is outstanding, not below average, outstanding. If you to pass, you must pass with A+. Then there you're outstanding. And I know most of you here are passing with flying colors. Not so? Not so? Someone is saying that I'm not passing. Okay, if you're not passing with flying colors, put in more effort. Or pull up your socks. Core values. Now, core values, we are looking at human resource. What makes a person to be he or she a good person? And when we gather here, we are many. Where I work, we are also many. You know, students, I can see you more than 50. But to relate with one another, you must have those good values. Which values are we talking about? Where we work, KCC as an institution, client care. You must care about people. The citizen, the urban dwellers. You're going to finish up here with your degrees and you're going to out in the field. But how are you going to be handling the customers? Sometimes it's not all about money, but even the way you talk to them, the way you care about them. Are we together? Right now, are we together, my brother? We are together? Creativity. What do you have in your head that is going to be, someone will look at your design and say, wow, wow. Have you ever seen someone who is smart? For us, when we were growing up, we used to put on big trousers. Nowadays, I see even people putting on trousers which can't even fit them. But that is the design. And when you pass, they say, wow. We are even beaten putting on a shoe without socks. Nowadays, people no longer put on socks. Puts on a shoe, the trouser it's not a trouser, it's halfway. But they say, wow, that person is smart. But they are being creative. That is the design. That is the modern trend. So I want your mind to think outside the box, to come up with those things that can even entice everyone and say, wow. And we have to be proud of you. So we shall say, these are good architects who are churned out from International University of East Africa. Excellence. Excellence is about being outstanding, not so? Because if I get 100 out of 100, now my lecturer will say what? Excellent, eh? And you even draw their face, put eyes and nose and what? A mouth and say, yeah, you have passed well, right? We are looking at Kampala. Do you know that Kampala has 5 divisions? Suppose which division are we in? It's called what? Makinde. Okay. You bright students. I'll clap for you at the end of my lecture here.